Okay, let's go ahead and get started on the next section. And the next section is dealing with adding, subtracting, and multiplying polynomials. And we're going to look at a couple of different types. We're going to look at these binomials and trinomials. I'm not going to worry about closed for now, but I want to give you some definitions on these different pieces as we start going through everything. So first off, a binomial is where we have two terms. So we have something similar to x plus 3. This is considered a binomial. A trinomial means that we have three terms. So we're going to be, in this case, 2x squared plus 4x minus 17. We have three different terms there that we have on that one. And then a polynomial can have multiple variables. It doesn't just have to be one variable, meaning that we could have x and y variables, but it's important that there can be no roots and no negative powers. So that's going to be important when we're going through the next part. So on the next part, we want to identify which ones are polynomials and which ones are not polynomials. So looking at these here, is this one a polynomial? I would say yes, that is a polynomial. So it is a polynomial in this particular case, so we would say yes. Is this one a polynomial? This one would be no because it has a square root, so that would be no. This one has a negative power, so that would be no. And this one has all positive powers and they're all integers. None of them are roots, so therefore that would be yes as well. Okay, so we can check it. Everything looks good. And then if we go to the next one, we can see that the degree of this function is 4 because it's the highest degree. And this one, the highest degree is 8. Now, how do I know that? Because I add these two powers since they're different variables, and that would be 8. So that would be to the 8th power. So that one would connect directly to that, and that would be correct for that one. So we have those particular values that we're looking at there. Okay. So moving on to the next one, we see now that we want to add polynomials. And so to add polynomials, we have these right here. So we're going to go to another page and do that. So here we're going to be adding things. Of course, we're going to distribute the positive through in this particular case. So the positive is going to distribute through. Of course, that doesn't change anything. So we still have x to the fourth minus 7x squared plus 3 plus 5x to the fourth minus 4x squared minus 8x plus 1. Now, of course, had this been a negative here instead of a positive, we would have had to distribute it through first. But we're just going to go ahead and start combining like terms so I can see those two are like terms. So I have a 1x to the fourth and a 5x to the fourth. That gives me 6x to the fourth. I then have negative 11x squared. I then have a negative 8x, not combining with anything else. And then I have this positive 4. So my answer would be this one right here. Okay, moving on to the next one. So in this case, you can see here that it should be 6x to the fourth minus 11x squared. So it has 4 terms, minus 8x plus 4. So it has those 4 terms right there. So it should be D. We look at that answer, and it does become D. Okay, moving on. So we have to subtract polynomials. So if I'm subtracting polynomials, we have this term here, 8x cubed plus 4x plus 5x squared plus 10x minus 3 minus all of this stuff here. We are going to have to distribute that negative through first before we can do anything else. So we're going to distribute it through. So I have 8x cubed plus 5x squared plus 10x minus 3 minus 6x cubed plus x squared minus 2x plus 7. And then we can combine terms. So 8 minus 6 is 2x cubed. That takes care of those. 5x squared plus 6x plus x squared is 6x squared. Takes care of those. 10x minus 8x is plus 8x. I'm sorry, 10x minus 2x is plus 8x. Takes care of those. Minus 3 plus 7 is plus 4. So 2, 6, 8, and 4 for my constant terms. 2, 6, 8, and 4. Looks good. And that should be positive 4. Yes, that should be positive 4. So we have a positive 4 there, so it should be B. So the answer should be B. Okay, and we can see that answer there. Okay, you're going to have a check on adding and subtracting. You're going to do that one, and then we're going to move right into multiplying. Since this is recording this way, we have the multiplying. And remember, now we have trinomials, so we could be doing binomials or trinomials. Notice that we have trinomials here. So we put the 4x squared plus x plus 3 on the top of the columns and the x squared minus 5x plus 1 on the side of the rows. It doesn't matter which one I put where, so it doesn't matter. But we're multiplying 4x squared times x squared in that first one where those things meet, those two numbers meet, or those two terms meet. Then we have x squared times x, so this right here would be x. And actually, I'm going to do it on a separate sheet of paper because it's just easier. So we're going to do this on a separate sheet of paper. I guess not. I thought I created one. But anyway, so we'll do it here. So this one should be x squared. So I want, where do I want it? Where is it? There it is. So I want it to be x squared. And I think that was it, right? Oh, that should be x cubed. We're going to change it. So I need to go back up here. A little harder when I'm doing it on this thing, but I have x cubed there. And then I have 3x squared here. So I know that I have 3 x squared. And that's x squared times 3. And then negative 5x, that would be negative 20x cubed. Let me go ahead and do this one just so you could see what happens then afterwards. So that would be negative 20x. Now I know how to do this. Cubed. Okay, so we have negative 20x cubed, and we multiply those two, and then we have negative 5x squared on this one. So we'll do at least one more row. So negative 5x. Okay, so negative 5x squared. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add the diagonals. So here's 4x to the fourth, negative 20 plus 1x cubed would be negative 19. We'd add these 3 up, we'd add these 2 up, and then we'd have another term here. So notice we'd have a fourth power term, a third power term, a squared power term, an x or a first power term, and a constant. So that's what we'd have for those. So I'm gonna click on check answers just to make sure that those are right. And so you can see that going through there and doing all of those multiplications there using the box method is a really nice and good method to be able to do something like that. So that's what we're doing on that one. Let's go to the next one. So on the next one, we're going to move over and multiply polynomials. And this kind of shows you how to do the distributive property. So we're going to distribute the 5x through. So 5x times 3x and 5x times 6. Notice that's what they're doing there to get an answer there. So you can watch that video and see how to do it, just kind of as another way to get some help as you're going through the problems. Now we're going to look at this one here, this multiplication. Now we still could do the box method. We'd have, you know, 1 row and 3 columns, or 1 column and 3 rows, either way. But we're going to distribute that through to all the different terms. So of course we have 5x squared times 3x squared, which is 15x to the fourth. Then we have plus 30x cubed and minus 40x squared. Okay, so then we have those terms as we go through it. That would be my answer. And that's what we'd be looking at 15, 30, and negative 40. So 15, 30, and negative 40, actually all of them are that way. So to the fourth, just to make sure, to the fourth, to the third, and to the second. So it should be A. The answer is A. Okay, moving on. So now we move on to the next one. So we want to see what the next one is doing. So if I move on here, I want to find this m plus 1 times negative 6m plus 4 times 2m minus 5. So to do that, I have to multiply two things at a time. So in this case, I'm going to multiply this one times this one. So notice I'm going to have m plus 1 in my first part of my box, and I'm going to have negative 6m plus 4. That gives me negative 6m squared plus 4m. I know that's positive. I didn't really have to put a positive there. But I have negative 6m times 1 and 4 times that one. Then I'm going to add the diagonals. So that would be negative 6m squared minus 2m plus 4. And that would be my answer when I multiplied the first two. Then I'd have to multiply it by 2m minus 5. And so to do that, 6m squared minus 2m, 4, 2m, whoops, minus 5. Should put those a little closer. Okay, so I have these. There's my box. 6m squared times 2m is 12m cubed. 6m squared times negative 5 is negative 30m squared. Negative 2 times positive 2 is negative 4m squared, because I have the two m's there. And then I have positive 10m with negative 5 times negative 2. 4 times 2 is 8, and 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. I'm going to add the diagonals. So I get 12m cubed minus 34m squared plus 18m minus 20, right? Because I'm adding those two up, and so I get 12, negative 34, 18, 20. 12, oh, and they're just asking us to find that at the beginning. So in this case, of course, when we go through and add them all up, so negative 12, 26, 18, should be 26. How did I get 26? Did I make a mistake here? So 6 times that one is that one, negative 2, and I don't see that mistake there. So I think we're correct in terms of getting, oops, no, we are correct. So that should be negative 2m. So I think this is correct here. Remember that we're adding those up, so that should be negative 34. So interestingly enough, they have the wrong answer on here. So you have to be careful there. In this case, I actually have the right answer. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So multiplying polynomials. So here we're going to multiply some more polynomials. Here I have two different ones that I have to multiply together. I can distribute or FOIL in a sense, which is really not foiling. It's actually going a little bit further, but I can go through and I can multiply these out just by doing a distribution. So I could do the box method. The problem with the box method is that I then need to keep track of all of my terms that I'm missing so that I can multiply those out. So this can become really a mess. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm just going to multiply the 5 through by all three of them. So I have 5b to the 6th minus 10b cubed minus 40b squared. So what I did is I multiplied 5 times 5b squared times b to the 4th. So I get 5b to the 6th because we add those powers. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. 5 times negative 8 is negative 40. I have a b cubed there because of that squared and that b, and then squared on that last one. And then I'm going to take the 3b through as well. So I have plus 3b to the 5th minus 6b squared minus 24. Then I still have that multiplies those three. And then I still have the 6 that I have to bring through. So plus 6b to the 4th. Excuse me. Sorry. And then plus 12b. And then plus 48. So minus 6 times minus 8. And then what I do is I see, do I have any like terms? I only have 1b to the 6th. I'm going to cross it out so I don't have to worry about it. I have a b to the 5th. I only have 1b to the 4th. I only have 1b to the 3rd. I have 1, 2b to the second, minus 40, minus 6. I have 12b. I have minus 24 plus 48, which is plus 24. So it looks like I have a bunch of numbers here. So, and it's consecutive as we go down there. So notice it's got to be sixth, third. Now this is not a good way to write it. Sixth, fifth, third, oops, minus 46b to the fourth. I don't know why they didn't combine those together. And then they should have connected the 24b. Did I make a mistake there? I might have made a mistake there. So this minus 24, let me just check. So I have 3b, yep. So that should be a b. Notice that these two here should have multiplied together, so I made a mistake there. So sometimes you have to be careful about that kind of stuff. So I'm going to erase this. I'm going to put down, since I'm at the end of the video, I don't want to re-record this. And this one, of course, is going to change as well. So I really had a minus 24b and a plus 12b. So this should have come out to be minus 12b and plus 48. So there it is. But they still didn't combine the b squared, these two here, which they should have combined together into negative 46b squared. Okay, so that's the answer. So the answer should be A. In this case, if we multiply everything through, they say it's D. Oh, here it is. Yeah, they did do the combination. So here they didn't do it. Here they have the same exact answer, but they did it, and I should have seen that. But notice, I mean, this you would have gotten 1 point off, but you do have to combine like terms, which I kind of pointed out. So it's a good thing that we looked at those answers a little bit more carefully just to make sure that everything was good. And I believe we're almost down to the last problem. So the last problem now has all of these little rectangular or square shapes. And what we want to do is we want to say, okay, we know the dimensions. This is 3x by 3x, 3x by 3x, 3x by 6x minus 1, and 3x by 6x minus 1. And we want to see, okay, what is the dimensions of each one? So for section 1, we want to find out what is the dimensions. So we go over here, and I have them drawn out a little differently. So I have 3x and 3x there. So to find that area, it would be 3x times 3x, which is 9x squared. The area of number 2 would be 3x times 6x minus 1, which would be 18x minus 3x. And then we have another 9x squared. And then we have another 18x minus 3x. And then we want to do is add all those up. So we have this one, and that should be 18x squared, by the way. And so we have 9x squared plus 18x squared, which is 27x squared, and another 27x squared, which is 54x squared, and then minus 6x. So it should be 54x squared minus 6x, which should be b. Okay, and there it is, b. Okay, and that's what we have. You now have 2 checks to do. You have a homework assignment. You have a quiz coming up tomorrow or on Tuesday, so you have to make sure that you get that done as well. So you have quite a few things that you need to get done with this one, and this is it.